Greetings, Padawan. We are going to talk about Herman Melville. Now, I have a confession to make. I like Herman Melville as an author, but I am not a huge fan of Moby Dick. And it's not because Moby Dick isn't a great book. It just doesn't hold any appeal to me. It's not that interesting to me because I think it's a boy book. It's fascinating to boys. It doesn't hold a lot for me as a female. I've read it many, many, many times for the past 27 years. I read it 3 times this semester. So not that thrilling to me, but his work is important, and Melville's important because he, like many of our other writers that we've talked about, comes from old money, right? But in his case, Melville's whole family lost their very old money, their fortune, when the father died. So he went to sea, and here's this kid who grew up wealthy. He was going to go to college, and he was going to do this and that, and then finds himself having to go to sea at 19 because he's not college educated, and his family had no money. So he goes to sea, and his first book, which I think is infinitely better than Moby Dick, it's called Typee, and it was based on his time. He was on an island in the South Pacific, I think it is, called Typee, and the book is about how the Christian missionaries that were there had painted the people as being these supposedly cannibalistic people, and he thought they were very hospitable. He never saw any evidence of cannibalism, and they had their ways and their traditions, but that was how their culture survived. So he thought that the people who were more sorry, there's so much noise going on in my house always. So he thought that the Christian missionaries were more inappropriate, and he criticized them as being more savage than the savages, right? So Typee is about that. He found them to be hospitable and had respected their way of life and the way that they did things, and he felt that the Christian missionaries were less civilized. So Moby Dick, which is the work he's most known for, he's also known for some short stories, and you'll be reading one of them, Bartleby, is about a whaling ship, which is a metaphor for a few different things, depending on who you read, but it's a metaphor of the American way and the American direction and things that were going on. And it's about Captain Ahab is obsessed with getting this white whale, and it leads his ship and the crew to destruction. So it's considered a realistic adventure novel, which is interesting because, we consider Melville a romantic, but it does have very much realistic undertones. But remember that pendulum swings, right? So he's challenging. So Thoreau and Emerson said that humans can understand nature. And Melville would say through this text that you can't understand nature. Nature is nature, and it's bigger than humans, and humans can't understand it. Whaling in New England, remember a lot of these, the American Romantics, most of them come from New England. Whaling was a huge industry, right? But even the name of the boat, right, was named after an Indian tribe that had gone extinct. So even in the naming of the boat, we kind of see that foreshadowing of, things aren't going to turn out well here. And it was, a symbol of doom. So the novel ends with there are no females in this book, which is probably why I don't like it. Rachel, the name of the boat that comes and rescues Ishmael, that's one of the only female names in the book. So there's a lot of historical references. It is an imaginative text. It's adventure at sea and has great detail, very great detail. The book's this thick. There's lots of great detail, and so if you're into that sort of descriptive narrative people either love Moby Dick or they hate Moby Dick. There kind of isn't an in-between area. And that's okay. I mean, it is a good book to a lot of people, just not to me. I like who Herman Melville is. I like that he felt that, he was independent on his thoughts about religion and about politics and things like that. I feel like I feel like I could really get behind him in his sentiments regarding life during his time period. I just don't like Moby Dick that much. But you're going to be reading some of his short stories. I think you're reading Bartleby the Scrivener. Again, Melville's not my favorite author in the world. We teach him during this class, so I have to cover him. I would still cover him even if I didn't have to, because he is an important part, and he starts showing where the pendulum is beginning to swing the other way. Now we're going to swing from Melville up through to Whitman to the start of the American Civil War. So those are your notes for Moby Dick.